Yo, so what is good, everybody on YouTube? We are back today with a brand new video, and as you know, if you've been following the NBA recently, the James Harden sweepstakes are finally over, and he was officially traded to the Nets. So, as I think we all know, we're going to have to do a career sim and see how his career with this Nets team ends up playing out. If you are new, smash the subscribe button and like the video if you are new. And let's see just how good this tandem of Kyrie, James Harden, and KD are actually going to be for Brooklyn, and how many NBA championships they can actually get, working with a 4-star system proficiency under Steve Nash. And in year one, MVP ends up going to Luka Doncic, having a great year. Defensive Player of the Year going to Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Most Improved Player of the Year going to Christian Wood. Looking at these All-NBA teams, and we actually have our guy Harden on there on the All-NBA third team alongside KD. And when you look at the standings, we come in with 52 wins, getting us the third seed, which is not bad, of course. But you would think that a team that kind of has KD and James Harden, two of the top 3 scorers in the league, should definitely maybe be the 1 seed, right? But James Harden ends up leading the team as far as points per game wise goes, while shooting a very, very good clip of 47% on 8.5 attempts a game from 3, which is a huge W to say the very least. Kyrie putting up just about 25 a game, and KD putting up just about 24 a game as well. Spencer Dinwiddie off the bench. I believe this is his contract year, so he had a fantastic year as well, but I don't think we'll be able to bring him back next year. And you can see what our rotations are looking like heading into the playoffs here. And, of course, we're going to have to make sure we have Landry Shamet getting some minutes, because he put 17 points per game up off the bench. And for whatever reason, heading into playoffs, they took him out of the rotation. So I'm going to give him some credit there where it's due, because he was like our 6th highest scorer and was putting up reasonable numbers. So in the first round here, our Nets squad is up against Drew Holiday, CJ McCollum, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and the Milwaukee Bucks. That team definitely got a little bit more interesting if you ask me. And it's looking like it's going to be a pretty easy one off the rip as we find ourselves up 4-1 and end up taking that series in 5. Spencer Dinwiddie actually leading the charge, followed by KD and Harden. Moving us to the second round here, up against the Boston Celtics. Always a very tough out in the playoffs to go up against this Boston Celtics team with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, who has stepped it up a lot this year to say the very least. And thankfully, we end up taking it in 6. KD having a big game there. And honestly, all 3 of our big 3 dropping at least 20 in that game. Moving us to the Eastern Conference Finals, where we meet up against Colin Sexton and the Cleveland Cavaliers, who have been balling out this year. And for the first time, we're going to a Game 7. So we're going to see what we can do here and hopefully end up going to the NBA Championship in the first year of this team all being together. So we'll hop into Simcast, of course, and see just how this one ends up playing out. And we ultimately end up taking it 135-119. KD dropping 39, 10, and 10. 29 from a Kyrie, and a triple-double there from Harden as well, with the huge game there from Colin Sexton. But now we are up for the real match, the one everybody's worried about, LeBron and the Lakers versus Harden, KD, and the Nets, where we find ourselves down 1 game here in this series, and a pretty close one right here, where we are up 1 point. KD, little fader, and yes sir, the spinning, fading, little about 12-foot jumper does indeed go, making it a 3-point game with 29 seconds left on the clock. Dennis Schroeder driving in, making it a 1-point game. KD holding, and a fading 3, and it goes. That is what you gotta respect about KD. Ultimately sealing the deal to push it to a Game 7 there with that huge 3-pointer. And honestly, he didn't even have that great of a game up to that point, but that's what people are going to remember it for, not the 6 for 21 in that game. Of course, on the Lakers side of the ball, LeBron leading the charge with a triple-double. And we're heading into Game 7, where we could potentially get this Nets team an NBA championship. And as we hop in, we are up 128-118. KD throwing up a 3, and it does not go. KCP getting the rebound and the Lakers trying to get some type of points on the board, and they brick it as well. With that rebound, that should be all she wrote as the shot clock is unplugged. With us having a 10-point lead here with about 5 seconds left. Kyrie just going to hold it, and that is all she wrote. The Brooklyn Nets get an NBA championship in the first year of this trade. KD, Kyrie, and James Harden. Definitely interested to see which one of these guys actually ends up getting Finals MVP, because in reality, it couldn't be any of them. KCP actually leading the Lakers in that game. 37-point performance from KD, and of course, 25 on very efficient shooting for Harden. Ultimately, KD ends up getting Finals MVP for us there in the first year of this sim. And in year 2 here, we move on. James Harden chilling at a 94 overall. And all three of them actually have very similar contracts where they have one guaranteed year left on their contract and then a player option. So we'll see if any of them end up re-upping and coming back. Our team is still looking extremely solid, to say the very least. And we're still working with a 4-star system proficiency. Giannis ends up getting MVP here. Cade Cunningham coming in the league, getting Rookie of the Year. And all NBA third team, we have both James Harden and KD on there for our squad yet again. We make the playoffs with 49 wins. You definitely would like to see a little bit better of regular season performances from us, but it is what it is. Harden leading the team in scoring with 27.6 points per game. And you can see what our rotations are looking like heading into playoffs. Very similar to last year, to say the very least. First round matchup here up against a gritty Miami Heat team as always. So definitely can't underestimate this team. They are the 4 seed. We are the 5 seed. And it's not looking great as we find ourselves down 3-1 in the series and ultimately end up getting knocked out in 5 by Jimmy Butler and this Heat team, man. What a layoff from last year where we went and won the NBA championship. This time we are a first round out. It is what it is. Celtics go on to win the NBA championship here in year 2 with Kemba Walker getting a Finals MVP award. Moving us into year 3 of this sim, where James Harden, 33 years old, is now a 92 overall. Kyrie, 30 years old, is now a 93 overall. And KD, 34 years old, is now a 95 overall. And we're going to move him back down to the small forward position because it's more fitting now as Joe Harris is not really progressing at all. And it just makes more sense to have him at the 3. So he actually goes back up to a 98, and you can kind of see what our rotations are looking like. That puts us more at a best player available type of lineup in all honesty, which is preferable. So we'll see how this season ends up going, and let's check it. So Luka ends up getting a 30-point triple-double to secure MVP this year, which is crazy. And the only one of our players that actually makes an All-NBA team this year, to my surprise, is actually Kemba on the All-NBA third team. We finished the season with the best record we've had so far throughout this, as the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference with 56 wins on the season. And surprisingly, James Harden's actually the one that's leading us in points per game. 24.6 points per game, despite being the one who's had the most regression as far as their overall so far. In the first round here, we're up against last year's MVP and the Milwaukee Bucks. Of course, Giannis Antetokounmpo leading the charge for them. And we end up taking it in 5, which you love to see. KD dropping 27 there. And just a good game in all honesty. So we're moving on to the second round here. Up against Colin Sexton. Of course, an elite level scorer. And the Cleveland Cavaliers. And it's looking pretty good as we also end up taking it from them in 5. And we're moving on to the Eastern Conference Finals up against another team that's won NBA championships in this sim, the Boston Celtics, the number 1 seed. And man, oh man, they end up completely sweeping us 4-0. Not what we were hoping for, to say the very least. KD shooting 6 for 12, but Harden shooting 2 for 10 from 3. That definitely could have been the story of this game. Shooting 2 for 10 when we lose by 3 points. If he would have made 2 more of those, then technically, in theory, we definitely would have won that game. But it is what it is. Can't pray over things that happened in the past. Celtics go on to win it all there, and Jason Tatum getting another Finals MVP. Moving us into year 4 here. And now 34-year-old James Harden, 89 overall. And a little bit more regression from Kyrie, now at 31 years old and a 92. Let's hop into it and see how this year ends up playing out. So another MVP year here for Ja Morant, and Defensive Player of the Year for Giannis. Kyrie ends up being on the All-NBA third team, and we come in as the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference with yet again the best record that we've had so far in this sim with 61 wins. First round matchup up against the 8th seeded Chicago Bulls here, and it's actually not looking good, which is insane. Come on, let's get a game. Oh, man, and we end up getting dropped in 6 here by Jalen Green, Patrick Williams, Grant Riller, Danilo Gallinari, and the Bulls, man. You hate to get upset by the 8th seed, and that's just the way the cookie crumbled here. Celtics in the finals here yet again, this time up against the Phoenix Suns, who are giving them a run for their money. And the Suns actually end up taking it with Devin Booker getting finals MVP there at a 91 overall. Moving us into another year here. 86 overall Harden, now 35 years old. KD starting to hit some regression as well, now at a 93, which is low for him. We have a 4-star system proficiency still, and Giannis gets MVP despite getting later into the sim here. And Cole Anthony also doing his thing, as you can see. Looking at the All-NBA teams, Kyrie making the All-NBA third team yet again, doing his thing recently. But our Brooklyn Nets team only picking up 39 wins on the season, 25 points per game for Kyrie, 20 for Durant, and just about 20 for Harden as well. But it is what it is. You can't really do much about it. So in the finals here, it ends up being Giannis and his Bucks up against, of course, Anthony Edwards, D'Angelo Russell, and the T-Wolves. And D'Angelo Russell gets a finals MVP there. Moving us into year 6 here, which could potentially be the last year that we see James Harden playing in the NBA, in all honesty, which is definitely a sad thing to say that eventually all the greats will end up not playing anymore, but it is the way it goes, and it is only a matter of time. As we have Harden here playing the 6th-man role for this team, Giannis getting MVP here, and another year where we're more or less irrelevant, in all honesty, picking up a very low amount of wins. As you can see, we only actually put up 14 wins on the season. And that's how you can tell KD, Harden, and Kyrie are all really getting up there in age. And at this point, Harden's a 78 overall, still sitting on the Nets bench, but not really going to probably contribute at all at 38 years old, I would assume. KD and Kyrie are both still starting, but Harden's pretty much done at this point. Luka getting an MVP season here, and our Nets team putting up 38 wins on the season. And let's look at these scoring stats here. As you see, Harden put up 3 points per game, 37 years old. Simming through the playoffs here, the Suns end up getting themselves another NBA championship here. This time, Caleb Love getting finals MVP and not Devin Booker. And you can see some of the greats starting to retire, such as Steph Curry. Moving us into year 8 here, where apparently our guy still is not trying to hang it up. Harden is still hanging around. Let's check out what Harden is up to. I'm assuming he's just going to sit in free agency, and it's looking that way. I will update us if, of course, he goes anywhere, but 75 overall, 38-year-old, I don't think anyone's picking him up in all honesty. But we'll see, and at the end of the season, no one ended up picking up Harden. No real surprise there, of course. So we're just going to sim through the playoffs here, and then, of course, see where he finished all time, if he made the Hall of Fame, who his jersey got retired by, all of that good stuff. Hey, at least it ended up being a good career for Harden in terms that he finally got his NBA championship, and it was with the Nets here in year 1 of the sim. Anthony Edwards ends up getting a finals MVP there. Looking at the player retirements, you see KD, Harden, and Klay all retiring in the same class. KD and Harden both making the Hall of Fame in the year 2028. And looking at the jersey retirements, KD gets his retired by both the Nets and the Thunder. Harden, on the other hand, just gets it retired by the Rockets. And of course, as always, I'll show this and it will just kind of roll through. But if you guys made it all the way through the video, of course, as always, I appreciate you guys. Comment GOAT in all capitals below so I know you are a true Bean Squad supporter. I can show you some love down in the comment section below for watching all the way through. If you have any suggestions, as always, feel free to leave them down in the comment section below. I always like to make videos that you guys enjoy a little bit better. So I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Peace. Bean is out.